So what are my thoughts on paleo? Paleo is basically is a short term for the Paleolithic diet, or eating basically like a caveman, or how perhaps our ancestors used to eat. And so my thoughts on this are pretty simple. What I see that what I don't like about the paleo diet these days and now is what people have done to it and how they've sort of bastardized it in ways and changed it, and they're trying to update it, and everyone's got all these really extreme beliefs and viewpoints from it, and they're really either they're saying, well, you got to eat such and such sort of fat, or this kind of fat, or so much fat on this side of the fence, or this carb is paleo or not paleo, to making new products to be paleo and all this. That's really where I see paleo has gotten off the wavelength, or its intended beating path, and where I don't love it so much. But the original paleo and the concept of paleo I absolutely love, and I think it's a fantastic plan. And if you think about it, it's hard to argue with that. Really, it's basically the foods that in nature are good for us. And I don't care who the health expert is, every single health expert out there, whether they're vegetarian or a dietitian or you name it, they're basically all preaching plant-based foods, foods from the earth, foods that are minimally processed, things of that nature, natural, organic, and all those things. There is, of course, argument over animal proteins or not, but when you really look at us as hunter-gatherers and scavengers, we have the genetic makeup from our teeth to our digestive enzymes to our internal organs to break down animal tissue and plant-based tissue. So basically what we're looking at is minimally processed foods from nature. And to break this down real simply, though, if you really look at what was provided for us, and really the long story short here is that what was provided for humans in nature from animal proteins and vegetation, basically, and up until about 10,000 years ago, there wasn't much agriculture, where there's a lot of cereal grains and whole wheat and things like that that are now farmed and mass produced. And that's great in terms of a global perspective for world hunger and things of that nature. But in terms of a health perspective, we found a lot of health maladies and disease states have become in widespread correlation compared to the previous time frame that humans have been on Earth. So the onset of these diseases have really taken off like wildfire in terms of the last 10,000 years. So it's kind of an easy correlation to look at. There's skeleton records, fossil records, things of that nature to kind of look at this. But really, again, what it goes back to is simplification of thinking about what is healthy food. So what is quality food that you should be consuming? And really, it's foods that are in nature, and there's really no argument on that. And of course, how you process the food, how you prepare it, do you bread or deep fry your foods and add all sorts of extra sort of calories that may or may not be well intended. So consider that. So at the end of the day, if you really think about, stepping back from humans, for example, and if you look at animals in the wild, basically animals don't have dietitians or health experts or anything like that, and they basically intrinsically know, they are genetically programmed to know what they're supposed to eat. There's scavengers, there's herbivores, there's carnivores, vegetarians, everything, you name it, and they know what to eat, and they don't have the same diseases that we have, or that the animals we have that we put in captivity. So you look at your dogs and cats, and they have diabetes, they have obesity, they have cardiovascular disease, they have bad joints and things of that nature. They're overweight and they're unfunctional. So from everything from not being physically active to eating their unnatural diets, they get the same diseases we do. So it's a very simple, easy way to look at that and compare and contrast there. We have all kinds of different mouse studies and animal studies we use every single day in science. That's about the simplest correlational study you could really think of in an instant in terms of animals to humans, and sort of what it is that are beneficial and helpful for humans to be consuming. Now, there is details that people are going to fight about to the end of times in terms of what is paleo, what isn't, and how they fit in, and that's not really the point of this. The point is to really sort of dismiss the claim that paleo is sort of a fad or a trendy sort of plan. It's the oldest diet in history, and it really makes perfect sense. And there are some things you got to use your common sense on in terms of what's healthy and what's the right amount of balance. It doesn't make sense to eat this much fat and this much organ tissue at the end of the day. Are you always going to have that much of that sort of food source? And realizing that sometimes food sources change and rotate. Sometimes you're stuck with the same food for a while, depending on where you would have been in your environment. So consider what would have been around in nature, and realizing that a lot of the cereal grains and things of that nature, breads, and even dairy products and things of that nature, soy foods, those sorts of things were not really commonly consumed or prevalent up until about 10,000 years ago. And our genes, our DNA, and our bodies are not really perfectly adapted to handling those things. Some people have, and some people can handle it. Some people have allergies they don't even realize they have, and are experiencing problems they don't even realize. A simple way to do that is to go on a 30-day plan and just try it out and see how it feels, and eliminate those sorts of foods and see how you feel. You know, it's not going to harm you. You're not going to be missing out on anything that you need that's essential. When you have animal proteins and vegetables and some fruits, nuts, and seeds, things of that nature, you're getting all your vitamins and minerals and essential nutrients that you need to live a healthy life. And you'll probably find that you feel much better, actually. Now, when we're looking at sports performance and things of that nature, there's other considerations in the ways you'll have to use the right amount of carbohydrate or not in order to fuel your performance. So it's a whole other conversation that we'll get to at some point. So is paleo a good or bad diet? I'm a big fan of it, especially for health changes, body composition changes, things of that nature. I think it's a great way to go.